All praise be to God, the Lord of ages, the creator of the universe. And I wanted to mention about the anecdote from last video where I saved the guy's life. I put him in a cab, the guy with gangrene. Let the glory be to God, of course. God arranged the whole thing, speaking the world into existence. Mi Yeshua ha'olem. I did nothing. I'm his servant. Yes, I'm 1/3 of the triumvirate, but I want to reiterate that I'm nothing compared to God. I'm just his word made flesh. And I want to resume with Isaiah 47 because I want to get it on record for all the doubters when everything that I say comes to pass and God eventually glorifies me. I want everyone who doubted me to be greatly ashamed and see everything documented as per God speaking about me in Isaiah. And that's why I'm very zealous to get this documented. Satanic train. Okay, so we're resuming with Isaiah 47, King James Version, obviously. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind meal. And the millstones, as I've said before, Isaiah makes reference to so many parts of the Bible. And remember, Abimelech is killed by a woman who crushes his skull with a millstone, and he's so ashamed that he's going to be destroyed by a woman. And also, I say in the Gospels, having a millstone around your neck and drowning. I make a reference to that. So Isaiah takes all these images and God ironically alludes to them. That's why it's called the fifth gospel by many scholars. Take the millstones and grind meal, meaning these delicate Babylonian harlots, not really delicate, thinking they're delicate with their disgusting, unhygienic, age-inappropriate, vulgar nose rings, which now you see all these heathen clones are programmed to wear. Just the most vile, immature, dirty, ugly, stupid thing. All of these these whorish women now wear these nose rings. It's so offensive to God, as he says earlier in Isaiah, and the nose jewels and the wimples and the bonnets. He's disgusted by all this affectation, the glasses, people who wear these affected, ostentatious glasses. It's so annoying, and it's annoying to God. So you're going to be punished for all this. Don't believe me. Doubt what I say, and then you will be greatly ashamed. So also I wanted to say, when you see that these videos that I have, you'll see, oh, it's got 20 views. It doesn't have 20 views. Satan, who runs the media as per Medea, the heathen region in the Bible, he just turns it back as he turns it forward when there's something he's promotive to get 10 million views. Those numbers are completely doctored. Don't believe them. Don't judge something's popularity by Satan's manipulation of those numbers. Remember, he lies about everything. He has no honor. He's a despicable homosexual coward. Okay. Verse 2, take the millstones and grind meal, meaning you delicate, seemingly delicate women, you're going to be grinding meal. You're going to be working finally. Uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. He's making them go over these rivers dry shod. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. He's going to meet them as God, a supernatural, omniscient, omnipotent God. to destroy them. As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms. You're not going to be called a lady, you're a whore. And then God changes the tone here. I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. Excuse me. And I wanted to say something about prolepsis, which is that kind of preemptive prophecy. It's a complicated term, a complicated concept. But when I was studying the wasteland in college, God had me obsessed with the line, T.S. Eliot's Wasteland, Son of man, you cannot say or guess, for you know only a heap of broken images. I didn't know why I was so obsessed with that. God was speaking about me, putting that into my heart, inculcating it in my brain so that later it would bear fruit when God revealed to me that I'm his Christ, which of course is astonishing to you and astonishing to me. It's really beyond comprehension. But he also did that with the Yeats poem, The Second Coming, which speaks about my coming, turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear. The falconer being a reference to the fowler's snare. Notice my name is this heathen name given to me by the Illuminati, as I've said over and over. Nick, as in old Nick, a reference to the devil, and fowler, a reference to the fowler's snare. Giving me this name, which will make it even more difficult for you to believe that I'm God's Christ. Okay, so then God again, shifting tones in line 6. I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. And thou saidst, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. Therefore hear now this, that thou art given to pleasures, thou dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. And this is a reference now to someone in our life, my mother and I, whose husband God destroyed and whose son God destroyed very quickly in succession, punishing her for being a heathen. And this is prolepsis again. God says, line 8, Isaiah 47, therefore hear now this, thou art given to pleasures, thou dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me, meaning there's no God. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries, and for thy great abundance of thine enchantments. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Meaning in these groves, and when I was a little kid, when my father was going to Cornell getting his PhD in Ithaca, we lived in Pleasant Grove apartments, again prolepsis. In these groves, in the high places as they called them, these heathen would burn their children, sacrifice their babies to these non-gods, these disgusting wooden insensate deities, Ashtoreth and Molech, which is also called Milcom. They would sacrifice these children, making them walk through the fire behind these trees, thinking, oh, God can't see us. There's a bush in front of us, as if God can't see through a bush. That's how stupid they are. And so this is what God says now, that he sees through everything, of course he sees what's going on, and inevitably these heathen will be punished. So God says with this brutal irony, stand now with thy enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so thou be let me say it again. Stand now with thine enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. He's being ironic. Of course they're not going to prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Remember, there's that song, Stargazer, by that heathen band, Andrew Wood, who the Illuminati killed at 27, that number that all those singers are killed at. And he had that song on that record, their one big record, which was Stargazer. He was destroyed, of course, for thinking that he could outsmart omniscience. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander every one to his quarter. None shall save thee, meaning everyone will abandon you. No one's going to help you. These traitorous people you think are your friends, they're not. Hear ye this, O house of Jacob, which are called by the name of Israel, and are come forth out of the waters of Judah, which swear by the name of the Lord, and maketh mention of the God of Israel, but not in truth, nor in righteousness. And this is what flummoxes God so much, and me, is these insensate, repulsive clones are programmed by Homo Satan, who transfers his personality into all of them when he makes them in Cuba, when he churns them out. They have this veneer of righteousness. Oh yeah, man, I believe in God. And then they sacrifice babies. God's like, how do you reconcile this together? It's so perverse and nonsensical. And this is Satan's autistic, illogical, perverse, deformed homosexual imagination. For they call themselves of the holy city, and now we're in Isaiah chapter 48. For they call themselves of the holy city, and stay themselves among the God of Israel. The Lord of hosts is his name. I have declared the former things from the beginning. And they went forth out of my mouth, and I showed them. I did them suddenly, and they came to pass. Because I knew that thou art obstinate, and thy neck is an iron sinew, and thy brow brass. I have even from the beginning declared it to thee. Before it came to pass, I showed it thee, lest thou should say, mine idol hath done them, and my graven image and my molten image hath commanded them. No, God declared all this and showed them he knew what he was going to do to prove that he, God, had declared it, and it has nothing to do with these worthless, stupid, insensate idols, wood and stone, that these morons worship. Thou hast heard, see all this. And this is one of the most amazing lines of the Bible. And it really shows God's personality and his flummoxed disgust at the stupidity of heathens not believing or pretending not to believe in God. Deep down, of course, knowing that he's there, for the demons know it too and tremble. but this incorporates and encompasses God's brutal humor and his completely astonished repulsion with this satanic, self-destructive idiocy. He says, "Thou hast heard, see all this, and will not ye declare it?" Like, why won't you just admit it that God is God? And this is, again, notice that with many times with the 6th line of a chapter, the verse 6, God will change tones and really dig it in to show Satan, okay, number 6 doesn't matter. Because, of course, God invented numbers, and each number that he chooses for a certain tool means something. "Thou hast heard, see all this, semicolon, and will not ye declare it? I have showed thee new things from this time, even hidden things, and thou didst not know them. They are created now, and not from the beginning, even before the day when thou heardest them not, lest thou should say, Behold, I knew them. Yea, thou heardest not. Yea, thou knewest not. Yea, from that time that thine ear was not open. For I knew that thou wouldst deal very treacherously, and was called a transgressor from the womb." And he's speaking about the devil and all his spawn, his filthy, worthless, soon to be burned forever spawn. Let's go over that again. I want to really inculcate this. Okay, again, this is line 6 from Isaiah chapter 48. "Thou hast heard," meaning from me, God, "see all this, semicolon, and will not ye declare it? I have showed thee new things from this time, even hidden things, and thou didst not know them." You know nothing. Line 7, "They are created now, and not from the beginning, even before the day when thou heardest them not. Lest thou shouldest say, Behold, I knew them. Yea, thou heardest not. Yea, thou knewest not. Yea, from that time that thine ear was not open, for I knew that thou wouldest deal very treacherously, and was called a transgressor from the womb." Which echoes when God opens up the the book of Jeremiah. He says, "I knew you from the womb." He knew what you were going to, he knows what we're all going to be like before we spring forth. Okay, verse 9, "For my name's sake," and then he switches tone again. "For my name's sake I will defer mine anger, and for my praise will I refrain for thee, that I cut thee not off." And he's talking really about Israel specifically, whom he chose and glorified as his people, and yet who were the worst idol worshipers in the history of humanity. That's the irony. He chooses Israel, and because of satanic influence, this brainwashing from Satan, this broadcasting, this self-destructive, futile agenda out to the world, they became the worst idol worshipers. So again, verse 9, God, who is slow to anger and infinitely repentant, whose mercy endureth forever, as David says, "For my name's sake I will defer mine anger, and for my praise will I refrain for thee." And it's important to remember that God, who is held accountable by these envious angels, has to preserve and save his face in the court of heaven, which is directly affected on earth. The earthly, occurrence is really just an objective correlative of these decisions that are being made in heaven. So God, for his name's sake, because he's God, says, "No, for my name's sake will I defer mine anger, and for my praise will I refrain for thee, that I cut thee not off." He won't cut off Israel by two immutable things, the covenant and the agreement. "Behold, I have refined thee, but not with silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. Look at what he put Israel through. 400 years in rigorous slavery to the Egyptians. 400 years. And then 40 years, echoing that, after God saves Israel and parts the Red Sea, brings them out of the land of Egypt, that furnace of adversity, and they still don't trust God and worship idols, the molten calf fiasco. Then says God, okay, 40 years now in the desert. And that's what he means, the furnace of affliction. For mine own sake, even mine own sake will I do it. For how should my name be polluted? And I will not give my glory unto another. Hearken unto me, O Jacob and Israel, my called. I am he. I am the first, and I am also the last, as per when God refers to me in Revelation as Alpha and Omega. Mine hand also hath laid the foundation of the earth, which is not an oblate spheroid, it's flat. And God's talking about that now. And my right hand hath spanned the heavens. When I called unto them, they stand up together, meaning the stars. When he names them, he calls them, and they stand up together. All ye assemble yourselves and hear. Which among them hath declared these things? The Lord hath loved him. He will do his pleasure on Babylon, and his arm shall be on the Chaldeans. I, even I, have spoken. Yea, I have called him. I have brought him, Israel, and he shall make his way prosperous. Come ye near unto me, hear ye this. I have not spoken in secret from the beginning, from the time that it was. There I am. And now the Lord God and his Spirit hath sent me. Let me read that again. He's speaking about me. Come ye near unto me, hear ye this. I have not spoken in secret from the beginning, from the time that it was. There am I. And now the Lord God in his Spirit hath sent me. Thus saith the Lord, thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. I am the Lord thy God, which teacheth thee to profit, which leadeth thee by the way that thou should goest. Oh, that thou, and this is wonderful, he switches tones again. He's like, God's considering all these centuries of this stupidity, this self-destructive satanic stupidity. Oh, that thou hast hearkened to my commandments. Then had thy peace be on it. Oh, that thou hast hearkened to my commandments, like only if you would listen to me. Then had thy peace be as a river, and thy righteousness as the waves of the sea. Thy seed also has been as the sand, and the offspring of thy bowels like the gravel thereof. He's referencing when he promises Abraham that his heritage, that his lineage will be as the sand of the sea and the stars of heaven. And Abraham believed God, as God says in Romans, which was accounted to him for righteousness. And now God reverses this. He says, thy seed also has been as the sand. He kept his promise. Your seed was as the sand of the sea, and the offspring of thy bowels. But then God says, like the gravel thereof, like your birthstone is gravel. His name should not have been cut off, nor destroyed from before me. God never wanted this. He wanted to have this everlasting covenant with Israel. Go ye forth of Babylon, flee ye from the Chaldeans. With a voice of singing declare ye, tell this, utter it even to the end of the earth. Say, yea, the Lord hath redeemed his servant Jacob. But despite God's everlasting promise, and they thirsted not when he led them through the deserts. He gave them water. He caused the waters to, and God's speaking about himself in third person now. He caused the waters to flow out of the rock for them. And then remember, Moses, God says, don't hit this rock with your staff. Don't take credit for it like a sorcerer, like you're doing it. Moses can't resist. And he hits the rock of Meribah and the waters of Meribah. He hits it with his rod and staff. And God says, what are you doing? Also, and I referenced this before, God says very elliptically in the Bible, when Moses spoke ill-advisedly to the Jews, probably meaning that Moses, with these refractory mule-like, intractable Jews, refractory being a reference to Eliot. When he speaks about me, he says the camels were refractory. And then he says of my birth, with wonderful understatement, it was, shall we say, satisfactory. So God is referencing all this now, declaring it the end from the beginning, because every poem was written through God. And he says, and they thirsted not when he led them through the deserts. He, God, caused the waters to flow out of the rock for them. He clave the rock also, and the waters gushed out. There is no peace, saith the Lord, unto the wicked, which is referenced in that song by the Thompson twins, No Peace for the Wicked. Okay, let's keep going here. Chapter 49. Listen, O isles, unto me, the isles being everything else other than Israel, and hearken, ye people, from afar. The Lord hath called me from the womb, from the bowels of my mother hath he made mention of my name. Now I'm speaking. And remember that in my first incarnation, when I declared to the Jews that I was God's Christ, I read from Isaiah in the temple, and they were so incensed that they pushed me out of the temple and were going to push me over a cliff. And he hath made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand hath he hid me, and made me a polished shaft. And this is another proleptic reference. In 10th grade, I was obsessed with the word shaft, which was a phallic reference, as some of my erstwhile friends will attest to, shaft. And now I see why God had me obsessed with that word. Of course, you'll say, yeah, that's coincidence. There's no coincidence. You will see all of this come to pass, and you will be greatly ashamed if you doubt me. No one sees the Father except through me. Again, at this point, God having revealed to me that I'm his Christ, 2019, it's 2026, March 23rd. What would be my motive now in persisting in this? Why? I'm completely ostracized, as I was in my first incarnation. Why would I be doing this if it were not for the sake of truth and Ruth? Okay. Listen, O isles, unto me. This is chapter 49, Isaiah, King James Version. Listen, O isles, unto me. And I'm speaking now as God's Christ. And hearken, ye people from far. The Lord hath called me from the womb, and from the bowels of my mother, Mary, hath he made mention of my name. And he hath made my mouth like a sharp sword. Anybody who knows me knows that often, regrettably, I have a very cutting tongue. In the shadow of his hand hath he hid me. I'm hidden now. Look, God's hiding me. He's saving me from this tribulation in this obscure foreign land, as he talks about in Enoch. I'll be hidden, and made me a polished shaft. In his quiver hath he hid me, which is another phallic reference, because sheath actually is vagina. It's the same meaning, and if we see all these words he's using, he's making all these puns. And said unto me, Thou art my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified. Then I said, I have labored in vain. I have spent my strength for naught. All this work God puts into Israel for naught and in vain. Yet surely my judgment is with the Lord, and my work with my God. And now saith the Lord that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. Though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of the Lord. God will glorify me, and my God shall be my strength. And he said, It is a light thing that thou should be my servant to rise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserved of Israel, the remnant, the residue. I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth. And that's the irony. And this is what Paul speaks about in Romans. Israel, who is supposed to be God's chosen, is not called. They stick to the law. They stick to this legalistic, it has to be the law, it has to be the law. Touch not, taste not. Dairy plates, meat plates, all of which God dispensed of with me with a new covenant, the new dispensation. But the Jews, in their stiff-necked, satanic, sticking to the letter of the law, blinders, turning not to the right, to the left, like mules, they miss the whole point. And this is the whole point of Romans, that the faithful will be glorified by faith, not by following some arbitrary rule. This is why God created me, because God takes everything on a case-by-case basis, as we see when he gives Hezekiah, for instance, 15 more years of life. Okay, but I digress. Now again, line 6. Notice how he shifts tone, which Eliot lifts for the wasteland, this scene shifting, this panoramic view of history. And he said, "It is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give thee a light for the Gentiles, that thou mayest be..." "that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth. The just shall live by faith." And not just live in this incarnation. The just shall live forever by faith. "Thus saith the Lord, the Redeemer of Israel, and his Holy One, to him whom man despiseth me. Thus saith the Lord, the Redeemer of Israel, and his Holy One, to him whom man despiseth." And I say this in the Gospels, "You'll hate me. It is written, you'll hate me without cause. To him whom the nation abhorreth, to a servant of rulers, kings shall see and arise, princes also shall worship, because the Lord that is faithful and the Holy One of Israel, and he shall choose thee." He chose me. Eventually every knee will bow to me, because God chose me. No glory to me. Let the glory be to God. It had to be someone. "Thus saith the Lord, in an acceptable time have I heard thee, and in a day of salvation have I helped thee, and I will preserve thee, and give thee for a covenant of the people, and establish the earth to cause to inherit the desolate heritage. That thou mayest say to the prisoners, Go forth. To them that are in darkness, show thyselves. They shall feed in the ways, and their pastures shall be in all high places." Meaning he's going to replace these high places where these heathen sacrifice children to these dunghill deities like Molech. He's going to replace those despicable groves. He'll replace these with pastures, as per the shepherd's pasture. He's bringing everything full circle. He will do a new thing. "They shall not hunger nor thirst, his servants, neither shall the heat nor sun smite them. For he that hath mercy on them shall lead them, even by the springs of water shall he guide them." And now Israel was called the land of brooks, because it has so many of these pure water sources. As we see, David was very careful to maintain those water channels and those waterways, like when David built Milo. Line 11, "And I will make my mountains a way, and my highways shall be exalted. Behold, these shall come from afar, and lo, these from the north and from the west, and these from the land of Sinim. Sing, O heavens, and be joyful, O earth, and break forth into singing, O mountains, for the Lord hath comforted his people, and will have mercy upon his afflicted. But Zion said, The Lord hath forsaken me, and my Lord hath forgotten me," which is a reference to when David says in his Psalms, "Why, God, why hast thou forsaken me?" And he's speaking 1,000 years before time of what I would say on the cross. my God, why hast thou forsaken me? So you see how even I lose faith. I had just done this world-altering work for God on the cross, and he wasn't talking to me for a few hours, and I thought he'd forsaken me. So you see how all of us lose faith, even me at the pinnacle of history. I remember that, of course, and feeling so bereft and horrible and abandoned and forsaken by God at the moment when I needed him most. I still sometimes don't understand his ways. I can't understand them. I'm not God. As he says, for my ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts are higher than yours, just as the heavens are higher than the earth. We can't understand his mind. Even I, who have the mind of Christ, he's a mystery to me. He's God. He's talking to everyone at once. I mean, if you consider that, acquire that intellectual, some satanic snake-like train. God is not only talking when we're praying to God and he's, counseling us in our head. He's not only talking to us, he's talking to all of humanity. It's incomprehensible. This one being. I mean, how can we not want to talk about him all day long? What else is there to talk about? Nothing. Okay, so let's conclude this. Can a woman, and then, this is wonderful. God says, but Zion hath said, Israel, the Lord hath forsaken me, and my Lord hath forgotten me. Can a woman forget her sucking child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet will I not forget thee. Behold, I have graven thee upon the palms of my hands. Thy walls are continually before me. And this is one of the most wonderful lines in the Bible. God saying, how can I forget you? Even if I'm quiet for a moment. He made this covenant with Israel, his child. He's not going to forget you. Thy children shall make haste. Thy destroyers and they that made thee waste shall go forth of thee. Lift up thine eyes round about, and behold, all these gather themselves together and come to thee. As I live, saith the Lord, thou shalt surely clothe thee with them all, as with an ornament, and bind them on thee as a bride doeth. For thy waste and thy desolate places, and the land of thy destruction, shall even now be too narrow by reason of the inhabitants, and they that swallow thee up shall be far away. The children which thou shalt have, after thou hast lost the other, shall say again in thine ears, the place is too strait for me. Give place to me that I may dwell. Then shalt thou say in thine heart, who hath begotten me these, seeing I have lost my children, and am desolate, a captive, and removing to and fro? And who hath brought up these? Behold, I was left alone. These, where had they been? Thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will lift up mine hand to the Gentiles, and set up my standard to the people, and they shall bring thy sons in their arms, and thy daughters shall be carried upon their shoulders. And kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and their queens thy nursing mothers. They shall bow down to thee with their face toward the earth, and lick up the dust of thy feet. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord, for they shall not be ashamed that wait for me. Shall the prey be taken from the mighty, or the lawful captive delivered? He's being ironic, of course not. But thus saith the Lord, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away, and the prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I will contend with them that contendeth with thee, and I will save thy children. And I will feed them that oppress thee with their own flesh, and they shall be drunken with their own blood, as with sweet wine, and all flesh shall know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. We'll stop there. All praise be to God, the Lord of hosts, the everlasting God, the Lord of the ages.